Well, hello everyone. This is another short video. We are going to be working on reported speech for both groups. I will start from the very beginning, but of course, very briefly, because first of all, you have another video on YouTube. And second of all, I don't think I need to say this so many times. Reported speech is when you are retelling something that someone else said. All right? This is what you're doing. You had a conversation in the past, whatever the conversation was, and you are telling someone else about this conversation. All right? First of all, what you need to remember here, you have this reported speech table, right? That this is what you have in your document. So here you have all the tenses, right? Present simple, present continuous. Depending on the tense, you will obtain a different reported speech sentence, right? So you always have to pay attention to the verbs, to the tenses. Well, the verbs, the tenses, right? Look at this. When the sentence is in the present simple, what sentence? The sentence that someone or you said, right? Imagine now you are having a conversation with your mother about someone else, about Miss Cari. You had a conversation with Miss Cari, and Miss Cari said, I like ice cream, right? That was the actual speech. Eso fue lo que dijo realmente. ¿Por qué hago esto? Porque las palabritas eso pasa en castellano también, cuando decimos el diálogo tal cual, como lo dijo alguien, lo decimos entre comillas, right? Between inverted commas, if you want to have it in English, right? The actual speech, the bubble, was I like ice cream. Lo que dijo la persona, en este caso yo, realmente fue I like ice cream. But when you talk to your mother or whoever, you are not going to say, Miss Karina said, I like ice cream, right? Because not even in Spanish you would say that. Ni siquiera en castellano lo diríamos, right? We would say, Miss Karina dijo que le gustaba el helado. So it is another tense, right? In Spanish or in English. It is another tense. You have to go backwards, right? This has a name and it is called back shift. So to have it very, very clear, when you are paraphrasing a sentence that is in the present, you are going to use the verb in the past, right? So for present, the correct thing is past. There you go. Miss Karina said that you can use it or not. It's not obligatory. She, of course, instead of I, and then the verb with ed. When you have present continuous, of course, you are going to use past continuous. When you have simple past, you're going to use past perfect. When you have past continuous, you are going to use past perfect continuous. Oh, I cannot do it. Give me a break. There. Okay, present perfect. Past perfect again. Always. Yes? Past perfect. This stays the same. Past perfect. Past perfect. Right? Will. Would. All right? Then you will have some others. I'm going to erase this. I hope you have understood. Right? I'm going to scroll down now. There you go. With all the modal verbs, it is very probable that you actually use the same modal verb. So here they are marked with an asterisk, right? Would, should, and might, they stay the same. And must, we can have must, or we can have had to. in the past, right? Up to here, I think everything is okay. Yes, you can use. With most of the sentences, these are all statements. You can just go back and that's it. We are going to have now two other problems. Vamos a tener dos situaciones problemáticas now. The first one, when what we are saying is not just a sentence, but it is an imperative sentence. Cuando la oración que estamos pasando es una orden. In that case, we need to remember some other details que ahora les voy a contar. Or when we, let's see if I have a space here. Yes, I will write it here. Yes. And then I will erase and that's it. And you will have the document, or maybe you can have it here. This is the reported speech table. Okay. So what are the things that you need to take into account? First of all, you need to take into account, for example, if the sentence is a statement, si la oración es una declaración, o sea, cualquier oración afirmativa o negativa que tenga un sujeto y un verbo, you have no problems, right? The problem will come when you have, for example, an imperative sentence. Imperative sentences are orders, right? When you have an imperative sentence, like why this is not working that much? Well, never mind. I will do it with the actual thing. There you go. There. Okay. When the sentence is an imperative sentence, right? Which means that it's an order. For example, I will write one in the affirmative and one in the negative. One could be stop walking. So the person is walking and you say, stop walking, right? As you can see, there is no subject in this sentence. It is an order. Imperative sentences always start with a verb. They have no subject. That is a positive sentence. We can also have the other ones that are negative. So you can say, for example, don't move, right? Again, no subject. These are imperatives. How do you transform this into a passive? Give me a minute. Never mind. You are going to say, she, generally we say tell, right? She told, or he told me, or us, if it is the class, right? Si fuera una clase, que también puede pasar, she told us, and pay attention to this, to stop walking, right? You see, what is it that we do? We write or we use not a tense. En este caso, cuando es imperative, no hacemos un tiempo verbal. We just use the verb and the to, right? To plus infinitive, right? When we retell something that is an imperative sentence, you are not going to change the tense, no vas a cambiar el tiempo verbal, you are just going to use to plus infinitive, right? In the other case, it is exactly the same in the negative, right? You are going to say, she told me not to move. This, I hope you get very, very straight and very, very clear from the very beginning, because this is a mistake that many people make. When you use the negative, first you write the adverbial particle not, and then the to plus infinitive. Many people make the mistake of doing it the other way around, but that is a huge mistake, right? So first, the not, . Okay, not there. And then the verb plus infinitive. All right? So far so good. This is imperative. When we have another question, when we have a question, yes, we have two kinds of questions. I'm going to erase this, or I'm going to go, no, I'm going to go down. There you go. Very good. Here we have a space. There you go. Okay. Questions, questions, questions. We can have yes, no questions, the questions that we use and we answer saying yes or no. These questions, remember, the yes, no questions always start with the auxiliary verb. So you need to remember that. Which are these questions? Can you go? Did you come? Were you here? Have you got a big dog? Can you swim? Right? Would you go? All the ones which start with an auxiliary verb are yes, no questions, right? I will write two examples and then we are going to retell them. Vamos a usar reported speech. Yes, no question. For example, would you give me your mobile phone? Would you give me your mobile phone? Imagine we are in a test and I would ask you, would you give me your mobile phone, right? Or, for example, inverted commas. May I open the window? No, I will ask another one. Because that is asking for permission and can be imperative also. Very simple. Can you play the piano? A real simple question, right? Well, what do we need to know? We need to know that we need two things to remember forever. The first one is that once you are reporting this, una vez que lo estamos contando, it's not a question anymore. So you will need to invert the order again, and the sentence will be a statement. It's not a question anymore, right? The same happens in Spanish. So try to understand it. It's not a question anymore. So you're going to say, she or he asked me, yes, if it's not an open question, me, if, always if, las de yes, no questions siempre van con if I would give her my mobile phone, right? So pay attention to all the transformations. What are the transformations? We have the would is just the would. First of all, you need to remember the if. Clear? You always write if. Then, of course, you need a subject because it's not a question anymore. Then the auxiliary verb, in this case, sometimes, yes, you always need an auxiliary verb. And then the verb in question, and then the rest, right? So you go step by step, but remember to invert. Subject first, como cualquier oración normal, sujeto primero, verbo después, right? Let's go with this one. Can you play the piano? He asked me if, oh, again, I'm having the same problem. Sorry for the time. There you go. We'll erase this. We use Word, Google document. So he asked me if I could, because you have to go back, if I could play the piano. All right? In this case, you have to. Invert again. Invertir otra vez. El sujeto va primero. Then the verb. And if it is a verb that you can go back, si es un verbo que vos podés ir atrás en el tiempo, también lo tenés que hacer, right? I will ask another one so that you see this. For example, do you enjoy horror movies, right? Which I don't actually. So you're going to say, he asked me if, always, I, first the subject, and then here we have a present tense sentence. So what you're going to do, you're going to do it in the past. Remember, back shift in tenses. Do you enjoy horror movies? He asked me if I enjoyed horror movies. All right, stop because it's not a question anymore. All right, this kind of transformation is the one that is generally very problematic. Last part of reported speech, I mean, the regular reported speech, then we will go to the verbs. We're going to go to the WH word questions. So, going back. Clear, there you go. And no. Very good. WH word questions. What are the WH word questions? Where, what, when, why, right? Let's go with 2 examples. This is pretty easy because it's a combination of everything we have learned. So, why are you crying? This is present continuous. Why are you crying? And the other one we're going to have is, how do you travel to work? Yes? 2 questions. There you go. How do you travel to work? One is in present continuous. The other is in present simple. Let's go with the present continuous. We are going to say, the teacher asked me. Remember, the reporting verbs are always in the past, so you would never say ask. You would say asked, told, said, suggested, admitted, permitted. The teacher asked me. Then instead of the if, you're going to write the WH word. Why? And then remember, the subject goes first. The teacher asked me why I was crying. Yes, the teacher asked me why I was crying. So what did I do? ¿Qué hice? First, the WH word, then the subject, then the changing time, el cambio en el tiempo verbal, from present continuous to past continuous. The same will go with this one. My boss, this is just to add something. My boss asked me how, here is present simple, so I have to go to past again, right? My boss asked me how I traveled to work. Stop, right? That's it, okay? So remember, depending on the sentence, you will have a different transformation in reported speech. This is up to here on the table. Eso es hasta acá en la tablita que tienen. But then you also have another problem, because sometimes instead of having asked, said or told, en lugar de tener los tres verbos principales, los más sencillos, we have another thing that is the reporting verbs, right? Reporting verbs. What are the reporting verbs? Reporting verbs are like a different level because they add more meaning to what you are saying, right? It's not as simple as saying, okay, said, that you don't know the tone. You don't know the tone, right? You just listen to the sentence. But when you have a reporting verb, you have more meaning because it's not the same to say he threatened to hit me, right? Than, for example, he told me or he said, right? You are adding more meaning to whatever it is that you are saying. Yes, you are giving more background. You are giving more understanding. The problem is that when you use reporting verbs like offered, agreed, refused, promise, threaten, pretend, beg, advise, remind, persuade, encourage, invite, admit, deny, suggest, recommend. What is the problem? The problem is that you need to remember what is the different structure. So you are not going to have the same transformation, right? If I have a sentence, I will write it here. Let's see if I can. Here you have all the different patterns. Offer, agree, refuse, promise, threaten, and pretend go with to plus infinitive. So you're going to say, she offered to do the shopping. She agreed to do the shopping. She refused to do the shopping. But with the same idea, if you use another verb, for example, I don't know, let's go with admitted. She admitted doing the shopping. There is a different pattern. There is a different structure, right? With all these verbs, we have to plus infinitive. Again, with this ones. But here we have with ing. And here, even more, we have with another preposition or another construction. So each time you use one of the reporting verbs, you need to remember what is the construction, what is the structure, right? If you need accuse, you need to remember, okay, accuse is with the object and of. If you're going to use apologize, you know that it is for, always for, and what you did with ing. I apologize for breaking your mobile phone. She apologized for coming late to your party. Yes? Always with ing. But this you can learn only by practicing. You need to practice. My advice is, okay, go with each of this and write a sentence on your own. All right? Well, I will stop with reported speech here. I think it is the end. And do the exercises.